by and watch the mayor, the city council, and black representatives in this state give Kevin Black, the owner of Under Armour, over $1 billion for 40 years on tax breaks. And they're going to give the residents, the homeowners of Baltimore City, 1 cent a year off of their property tax bill. The crime is in the city is the disparities in the way these communities have existed, and the problem under the last 50 years or so under black leadership, and nobody in there want to call their damn names out because they're sitting in the damn room. We wouldn't have the housing problem in Baltimore City if it wasn't from during the Clinton administration in 1999 when they repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, and Elijah Cummings voted for it. Okay? There's people that look like us that don't have our interests at heart because they serve the interests of the Greater Baltimore Committee and the larger business community. We should be addressing the business community because those are the ones who control them prostitutes down in City Hall, those pole dancers. Maybe the language might be a little too rough, but it might be a little too hard. But the facts you can't take in dispute. We have some serious problems in this city, and the way things look, there's no way it's gonna change. I think Captain Crew gonna make the damn shit worse, because she's gonna come with the Detroit plan.
All right. Ready? We outside here at the meeting for the DOJ. In your opinion, you feel it's a dog and pony show. As a resident of Baltimore, what do you feel in your heart citizens should be doing at this moment? Knowing how the report is of the DOJ.
Do you really want that answer?
Yes, sir.
If you really want that answer, then both residents of Baltimore City, those who have been victimized historically by Baltimore City police, they should be shutting the city down. They should be addressing not just the Department of Injustice, who has no history of protecting black people. If we look at our leadership in the past, we see that the role that the Justice Department have played in their demise. We can go from city to city, year after year. We can go back 10, 15 years ago, and we'll see that the Justice Department have continuously done settlements with these police departments. In some cities, they had to go, in the municipalities, they had to go back in because they did not adhere to the reforms that were put into place. We don't need reform from the Justice Department. What we need the Justice Department is to come before the community and explain to the citizens of Baltimore City and the residents and the citizens of this country, why haven't they arrested these police officers with the damning information that they have conveyed back to us on the practices of these police departments, not just in Baltimore City, but all throughout this country. They have to come before the public and explain why haven't they arrested police officers for crimes that they said that they committed. That's not going to happen. It has not happened. And there's no way that the police is going to continue to stop killing black men, black women, and black children here on the streets in the hells of North America when they have protection from a black president. And black people in this abusive love relationship with this president cannot take and disengage or disconnect themselves from their love and their commitment and their loyalty to this president to be able to.
It's also locked up for.
I'm trying to find the right word to try to describe it, but it's.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Speaking on the president, after 8 years, do you feel, in your opinion, has he done enough for the black community?
I always ask the question of those who are supporters of the president. Name one specific thing that this president has done specifically for black people. They'll give you that D in a road look because they cannot come up with anything that he has specifically done for black people without those who are responding to that question always throwing other people in the mix, saying, well, he did this for that. Oh, his hands was tied. He couldn't do anything without Congress. Well, we know that he looked out for the Hispanics, looked out for the Asians, looked out for the gays, looked out for white women, looked out for the Jews. He looked out for everybody else. And he put that in policy. That is because we were just happy to so-called make history, and we was happy to so-called have a black face in a high place in the White House. We didn't do what other folks did. Other folks put something on the table and gave him agenda and pressured him to carry out their agenda.
Yeah, you know, because during that time, you know, Tavis Smiley and Mr. West took a beating behind that.
Because Tavis Smiley, Steve Harvey,
you know how they
name the whole radio and television academic crew who was no more than pom-pom girls, no more was whisperers for the Obama administration. But when things got hot, you saw a lot of them, they jumped, the rats started jumping ship when the tide started turning. So our responsibility as a people is that if we say that we are righteous, if we say that we are God-fearing people, we have to address the issue of evil and the evil that is among us, because the police, the business community, the philanthropist community cannot do what they do without complicity and without the involvement of black people in the forefront of it, to be able to ease the people's tensions, to be able to keep them cooled out and quiet down. That is the problem that we have to address. And some of our people, that we are so starved for attention that we will come to things like this. We will come to events like this because
to be pacified, in your opinion.
To be placated, pacified, put to sleep, you name it. Because I'm not saying that they're not sincere. They just don't know. And the information, the news sources they get is not from folks like me and you. It's from the established media. But when you go to these cities and you look at these business groups, you'll see that in the business groups from city to city, you're gonna find with the different foundations and the different organizations, you're gonna find an interlocking board of directors, and you're gonna find all your media outlets there. So the news that you get or information that you get maybe on a particular incident is skewed. It's slanted a certain way. It's just like when the so-called uprising.
Because they're corporate owned.
That's right.
They're going to look out their interest.
They have a vested interest. Now, when the so-called uprising, which they folks call an uprising, they call a riot that took place last year. That wasn't the case. If there was an uprising, if there was a riot, it was the Baltimore City police rioted on black people up at Mondawmin Mall. That's why the MTA will not release a videotape of what happened at Mondawmin Mall, because Mondawmin Mall was ground zero, not Penn North. Penn North was just chosen because it's one of the target areas that before this incident happened was one of the communities they had planned on revitalizing. The same thing with Sandtown, Winchester. What we saw took place last year was not an incident of black children rioting. It was the police rioting on black people. A created crisis. They were already there before the children got out of school, but they cut off the subway, they shut off the buses. All the buses that came to Mondawmin Mall, they dropped the people off and left them. They had no place to go and they arrested them. After that incident took place, and they had to defend themselves, and they stoned and rocked the hell out of the police. Our people, their mothers and fathers, condemned them and said that they were the problem. Like before this incident happened, that everything was okay and okie dokie in Baltimore City. Before this incident happened, black folks in Baltimore City was under the threat of terrorism by this mayor, because if they didn't pay their water bills, she was going to sell their homes. And she did cut people water off, about 2,000-3,000 of them. And every year they sell our people homes, particularly our elders and the seniors who's on fixed income, sell their homes over water bills, sidewalks, alleyways, and other municipal fines, which is illegal doing. At the annual property tax auction that the federal government, the FBI had to come in and break it up because it was bid rigging. And the same ones who rigged the bids in Baltimore City did it in other counties, and also one of the main ones that did it in Baltimore City. What Baltimore City is going through right now is a process of regentrification. When a community is gentrification, the police kicks ass. Okay?
We went through that in D.C.
I know y'all went through that in D.C. because I studied it in D.C. And a lot of folks that used to live in Washington, D.C. is living over here because water bills,
and you're not
property
lying.
taxes.
I met the gentleman who saw what happened to Frederick Gray. He was from D.C. and he now lives over there in Gilmore Homes. You are absolutely correct.
Water bills, and abortion, because they cut the birth rate. In all these major cities, the teenage birth rate is going down. They're doing it in Baltimore City schools because they can give contraceptives to your child, and the child in the 6th damn grade without your damn permission. But your child needs permission to participate in extracurricular activities like sports in school. Something is wrong. We're the sisters that stand up for the issues of women's rights. They want to talk about women's rights. Well, the Baltimore City public schools is no more, and their clinics is no more than baby killers. And we need to address those kind of issues. There's so many things that's wrapped up into this that we just do not have the people with the commitment and a division of labor to be able to tackle these and fight these issues and address these issues as we are fighting on other fronts. At some point, the community has to stand up for themselves. The poor people in the community have to stand up for themselves. The problem is that the so-called good people, the ones that's living well and living swell, that got good jobs and go out and shop and this and that and the other, they don't want to be involved, not going to get involved because until they are personally affected, then it comes a concern. But right now, it's those people, okay? And those
not my problem.
It's not my problem. You know, I don't have that problem. Not my child, but we have to see each other once again and have to come back into not just a sense of self, but we have to go back to
sense of community.
A sense of community where every child is our child. That we have to move back to the we and move away from the I, because we have individualized and personalized things in such a way that we have disconnected and attached ourselves from each other that we cannot really relate to, because there was never a time that I could know of that somebody could be that look like me and you could be being victimized by somebody on the street and 6 or 7 people walk by and don't say a damn thing. No, and that is one of the things that we have to address right now, and what's taking place in here is a sham, because they're not going to address the issues of you go over a couple of blocks and you get the boarded up homes
everywhere.
They ain't going to tell you. They ain't going to talk about that in these communities, the high arrest rate, because why? Lead damn poisoning. They don't connect lead poisoning with crime. All you got to do is look at the police numbers and see where the hell they locking people up. It's in these same neighborhoods and communities with their boarded up homes, and everybody knows that.
Corinne Gaines, I talked with Mr. Gaines, he talked about that.
And also is that we got to understand that our folks in these communities, they transit. They never leave those particular communities. They move down the street, around the corner, on the other block. But these generations of families never leave that community. So we're talking about generational exposure to lead poisoning, to behavioral problems, to developmental problems. Eventually, they're going to run into the criminal justice system, or they're going to run into the police. So we have a whole host of issues to not just have conversations about, but we have to have these issues that we are willing to basically to take these issues on, and we must be able to be willing to be able to deal with in a straightforward and honest manner people who look like us. Not just politicians, but it's them. I did a radio program some time ago last year, host my own radio program for numerous years. I did a program called The 3 Ps That's Killing the Black Community. The preachers, the politicians, and the goddamn police. Okay? And all throughout this country, we have seen where these cities have exploded because of an incident of police brutality. Who do we see? With the mayors, the preachers, the politicians, and the goddamn police. Okay? Islam. If we want to be for real, okay? They say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall go to hell. They shall go to hell. Not when you're working against the interests of your own people.
Oh, wow.
Okay? We done seen all the fake protesters that here came to Baltimore from Ferguson and other places. We know that the foundations are financing them. Because you look at most of these folks as professional protesters, they got 501c3 organizations.
Yeah, you see the George Soros is funding the Black Lives Matter.
That's right. And a lot of other organizations.
Exactly.
Okay? Maybe like the Algebra Project here in Baltimore City, because it seems like a lot of these youth activists coming from out of City College, being funded by Able Foundation, other foundations. So I don't have too much more that I can say right now. I don't want to burn your recorder up.
Oh no, you good. Like I said, we have
to take responsibility for ourselves. Men have to be men, and our sisters have to let
whoever owns you, owns you.
Our sisters gonna have to let our brothers be men and stop trying to emasculate black men, because as they're being elevated and have been elevated within the job market, within society, and as black men have been pushed out of the job market and no longer really have control of their homes, because their women are treating our men like their sons, because they say, hey, if I'm paying the bills, I'm gonna call the shots. I run this. Not understanding that we have to work as a team. We are a team. If we don't make it together, we don't make it. And what we have to do basically now is that tighten up our families, cut back on our spending, practice economic sanctions and non-frivolous buying. We can't walk around here and walk with every damn body's name on us, advertising for them, making them rich, and we wonder why we ain't got no jobs, because we make jobs for other people based upon how we spend our money, where we spend our money, and who we spend it with. Their children going to MIT, our children going to DOC.
Let me ask you, but with the upcoming election this year, do you think we should hold our vote?
Well, we shouldn't vote. It depends on if a national level or local level. On a national level, we already know that your vote don't matter, because it's the electoral college that decides the president. So it's getting people engaged and having them believing, and they are part of the participatory process, that they are making change. They don't respect your vote, because why? For one,
you feel that way even on the local level? No, as you said, holding your vote this year, even on the local level?
On a local level, I would say no, don't vote.
Wow, why you say that?
Because if your conditions in your community, in your lives, hasn't changed, particularly under black leadership in Baltimore City, then what are you voting for? What you're basically voting for in sanctioning basically is your own damn oppression. Because you can't be a voter and go in a voting booth and cast your vote or cast your ballot and then sit on your ass for the next 2 or 4 years and not be involved, engaged. I'm not a voter. I'm politically active because I'm a taxpayer. I pay their salaries. If I vote economically with my pocket of where I spend my money at, and who the hell I give it to.
Great point.
And we have to do that, because folks gotta pay. And the police not gonna get the message. The business communities in these cities not gonna get the message. The president of this United States of America is not gonna get this message until we make somebody pay, and we got to start punishing not just politicians, but we're gonna have to start punishing businesses. If black folks in this country for 4 months didn't buy any Coke or Pepsi, what happened to that company?
Shut it down.
It's gone. We have the power to change the dynamics in this country, how we spend our consumer dollars.
I don't think we realize how powerful we are.
Because we've been told we didn't have it. And we've been continuously told that we would have it by people like us, that looks like us. Don't rock the boat. Why you a troublemaker? Oh, he's militant. That's just bugging out. I don't know why he acting like that. Things ain't that bad. You know, it could be worse.
Could be worse, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we can change our lives, and we have to be responsible. Some folks ain't gonna be, happy with what I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna say this: ain't nothing gonna become floating out the damn sky, or ain't nobody be coming out of the ground to come to save our black asses. Okay, we have to save ourselves. So, my brother, I thank you very much. I'm Brother Donald from Baltimore, Maryland. They call me the Spirit Man.
I appreciate your time
today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome, brother.
God bless.
Yes, sir.